Hello, my name is Dr. Stephen Price, and I am on the organ faculty in the School of Music at Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. We are here on campus in Sursa Hall, and this is the Goulding & Wood concert instrument, Opus 45, built in 2006, comprised of 63 ranks. This presentation is a part of the Organ Fest 2020, sponsored by the Atlanta chapter of the American Guild of Organists. I would now like to talk about lyrical pieces and their characteristics at the organ. Usually when encountering a lyrical piece, one will see a legato indication either written in to the score, the word legato, or a phrase marking indicating that the notes are to be played connected without break. Usually the tempo will be slower, which means the motions into and out of the key will be slower. And there's usually a melody with an accompaniment, so the performer has to decide how they are going to phrase the melody. As an example, I will use the movement Elms from the organ suite Views from the Oldest House, composed by Ned Rorem. I will begin by playing the right hand melody. With any touch, posture is very important, from the sternum to the shoulder joint and down the arm into the wrist and hand. I'm letting my arm just naturally hang, and the weight of my arm extends, and then my fingers rest on the key. My attack is slow into the key, and so is my release, and I'm always moving in a lateral manner. When I reach the high point of a phrase or the peak of the phrase, I am choosing to put a bit more emphasis at the top of the phrase, which helps to create an organic sense of rising and falling naturally with the musical line. For example, in addition to using a swell box to create a crescendo or decrescendo at the organ in a lyrical piece or other pieces, you can also use your touch and sense of motion to create a sense of dynamic and inflection as well. On the second page, we move from a 2-part texture into a 4-part texture. Here, the soprano line will still remain legato, but I'm going to put a bit more emphasis on the inner voices just to show that I've reached the overall peak of the movement. When moving from one manual to the next, a sense of rotation in your rebound helps you to organically move and then place the fingers where you want them versus an abrupt motion where you're aiming. You're always in motion from the rebound once you release the note to move to the next place. It can be helpful for the fingers in a legato piece that is of a slower tempo to be at a spread position or extended slightly, and using rotation of the wrist, the fingers and the hand operate as if they're turning a doorknob. This helps one to get a slower attack into the key and out of the key versus the hand being close together and needing to get a quicker attack in consecutive motion, especially when you have intervals of large proportions. For instance, there's one with the tritone. There's another one. I would now like to talk about perpetual motion pieces and their characteristics at the organ. Usually when encountering a piece in perpetual motion, one benefits from using a brighter touch, a more energetic touch. One deals with a faster tempo, requiring more finger action. And similar to the Roram, with the piece that I'm going to demonstrate, the Sortie in B-flat major by Lefebvre-Wely, you have a melody in the right hand, and later on it gets transferred to the left hand with an accompaniment in the opposite hand. I will now play the right hand melody. So we have 2 bars of staccato followed by 2 bars of legato. With the staccato motion, I am still following the direction of the musical line that ascends and then descends, but my fingers lift a bit more quickly from the key, and the attack also is more intentional but light. Again, posture is important from the sternum, through the shoulder joint, down the arm. Having a light arm, but allowing the energy to go and pass through the hand into the fingers. When I get to the legato bars, I'm still going to be slow into the key to create the broad sense of legato where the notes are connected without break. I'm thinking of the meter in this piece that's in perpetual motion because I don't want every note to sound the same. Again, similar to the Roram, I still want a sense of inflection and dynamic. So I'm trying to rise and fall with the phrase. In the left hand, I have triads as the accompaniment. My hand bounces and does a forward motion, and my first finger joints are firm because I want all of the notes to play at the same time. I will now put everything together. If I were to place an emphasis on every note versus thinking about the larger phrase, it would sound like this. You hear that every note has the same emphasis, the same amount of weight, the same attack, versus there being a sweeping feeling of rising and falling. And also it requires more energy from the hand and for the wrist to bounce, which from duration purposes is taxing. I would now like to move on to the second page where the melody is placed in the left hand and there's a phrase marking over the melody indicating that the touch is legato instead of staccato, but still at this quick tempo. I'm going to try to incorporate a bright legato so the notes will still be connected, but again the attack and release of the key will be at a faster pace. Similar to the first page, with the rising and the falling of the line, there are certain notes that you may want to place an emphasis on, maybe the high point of each section. You could also think about the meter and placing an emphasis on where the strong beats fall in the measure. That's always up to the performer to decide. But some sense of a goal is helpful in perpetual motion. Otherwise, it's easy to get lost in the sea of notes. I now have chords in the right hand, and I will implement the same touch that I did from the first page in the left hand, having a nice light bounce feel and allowing my wrist to rebound in the air. I hope you've enjoyed this presentation on lyrical versus perpetual motion styles at the organ and their characteristics. I'm grateful to OrganFest 2020 and the Atlanta chapter of the American Guild of Organists for allowing me to be a part of this great opportunity. Please see the link for a handout with additional quotes related to this presentation, as well as a bibliography.